Magandang araw. Ako si Kui Code. Welcome back to my channel where I teach Python through fun and practical examples. Today we're going to be looking at the strategy pattern. So strategy is a behavioral design pattern that lets you define a family of algorithms, put each one into a separate class, and then make the objects interchangeable. So one real-world example I used before is in Pygame, where I had guns that handled its projectiles in different ways. So for example, a handgun would fire a single bullet, a shotgun would fire multiple bullets in an arc, and then a sniper that would fire a single round, but the round would pierce multiple targets. So with the previous video I went over, which is the state pattern, I dealt with the what, whether we were dealing with patrolling state or chasing state. But in the strategy pattern, we're dealing with how. How will we patrol and how will we chase? So in this first coding example here, this is a example that doesn't actually use the strategy pattern, but it still gets my point across where I have two different states here. And we have different ways to do each state. So we can patrol randomly, we can patrol between two waypoints, we can chase directly towards the player, or we can try to flank and go from the side. Also, just to note that because I already have a video on the state pattern, I don't really care that I'm hard coding the states inside of the enemy class, because the focus is more on the strategies, which is, these, not necessarily the states. So that's kind of not really an issue. If you know how to do the state pattern, you know how to do the strategy pattern, you can probably figure out how to make a system that's able to, do them both properly instead of having anything hard coded. So I have a goblin class created. Here's my default patrol and my default chase. And then you just basically call these methods. And then we can just at runtime, change one of the chase types to flank, and then it'll do the flank one instead. So let's go ahead and run this. So you can see that the goblin patrols randomly around the area, and then if the player gets within range, it switches to the state and will run directly at the player, but then we can have it change to a flanking chase instead, and then it switches to the flank. Of course, in this case, with the strategies, whether it's direct or flank, if we were to add more, it'd be annoying because you have to edit this enemy class. So instead, we're going to try to extract these states or these strategies out into separate classes. That way, we're able to easily add more if we need to. So first, I'm going to make an abstract class for our parent strategy. I'm going to import abstract. I can delete this for now. And then what I'll do, I'll just put this up here. So class, movement strategy, pass in ABC, abstract method, and then define move, that's in self and enemy. Okay, and now we just need to make the implementations of this movement strategy. We'll have two for the two strategies for patrol, and then we'll have two more for chase. So I will go ahead and just, we can actually just copy this. And I'll change the names. So this one will be patrol. This one will be the waypoint. This one will be the direct. And this one will be flanking. We don't really need this abstract decorator anymore. And then of course we're already passing in, it's a child of movement strategy, so we do that instead. In an actual program, let's say again, if you're doing a Pygame game, inside of here is where you would actually do the algorithm on how you're going to implement, being able to control or being able to move randomly versus having two waypoints or whatever. And I will edit the enemy class a bit. These can be deleted, and we only need one of these. So instead of changing patrol type from the bad example, we'll just call it change strategy. And let's put new strategy. And what type is it? It's a movement strategy. And then we can just do self dot movement strategy equals new strategy. I'll just copy this down there. But we actually need to put that in here as well. So this will be, well, you can just pass in the movement strategy, which is a default one. And then of course we should also probably have the actual method to, I guess, sorry, we already have the method to actually change the strategy. We also need the method to actually have the enemy move. I'm going to delete these and it'll just be self.movement strategy equals movement strategy, and then def move self, and this will be self.movement strategy dot move self. So basically, when you first make the object, we're just going to have a default movement strategy, and then at runtime, we can just pass in the new movement strategy to overwrite this with the new one, so that way when we call move, it's going to use the move method on the new one. So for example, if it's first, it's random, when we pass in the waypoint class into here, this movement strategy object is now going to be associated with the waypoint patrol. So calling move will now call the waypoint patrol's move instead of the random patrol's move. And now we need to implement these, which of course in this case I'm just going to have some print statements instead of actually like doing anything special. So print f enemy dot name patrols randomly around the area. And then, of course, I'll just do some other ones for this. So there's the waypoint one. Here is the direct chase one. And here is this one. And I think that is good. We just need to now get our code for actually testing it. So first, we're just going to make a new enemy. So again, we'll just do goblin. The name will just be goblin. And then we'll just pass in random just pass it a new random patrol object, and then we call goblin.move. Let me see here. I made a typo somewhere on line 10. E-N-E-N-Y. I think that's how I spelled it. Yeah, there it is. So now the goblin patrols randomly around the area, which is exactly what we were expecting. And now what we can do is just call goblin dot change strategy, and then we can just pass in a waypoint patrol, and now I'll just recall goblin.move. So we'll go ahead and run it again. Where did I put new type from? Oh, that was supposed to be changed. Oh, right, I have to actually do new strategy dot the dunder for class dot the dunder for name. That way we actually get the name. So now we can see it starts out patrolling randomly. We changed the patrol type, the strategy to waypoint, and now it says it patrols between waypoints. And now we can just do the other two as well, which we can do the two for the chasing. So I'll just grab those. We'll go ahead and do that. So now change it to direct chase and change it to flanking. And now we should expect the same thing. So yep, we change it to direct, and it prints out the goblin runs at the player directly, and then we change it to flanking, and now it tries to flank. So that is actually good. And then of course, what that means is if we have a third strategy type, we just need to make a whole new class here, implement that, or it's an extension of this, and then in the main on the client, we can just literally pass it in to the strange strategy type, and we don't need to edit the enemy type at all, which is, the main idea between with doing these kinds of things. So that's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified right away of any new videos. And of course, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. See you next time on Cookie Code. Paalam.